Welcome back. It's the Big Blue Banter New York Giants football podcast. I'm Dan Schneier, joined as always my co-host Nick Filato. And this is our first game breaking down all 22 offensive film of the Jaxson Dart era. It is a very cool thing and a very fun prospect ahead of us, I think, at least, to get to evaluate a rookie quarterback, a first-round draft pick, and really start from the bottom, start from the very beginning of his rookie film. And that's this game against the Chargers. And I think as you'll learn as we go through the tape today, Nick and I just discussed this for a brief period of time before we were recording. And I saw some suggestion that the Giants have opened up the entire playbook with Jaxson Dart. Nothing is off limits. I think the film kind of confirms that's not anywhere close to the case, but that's okay. I think there are factors that are at play here. It's his first start, and Malik Nabers went down in game. Now, my one concern long-term is if this is a Daboll thing, and that's something we'll have to work through and talk through. I personally am not sold Daboll's the best coach overall, has the best system overall, or is the best fit for Jaxson Dart, though obviously they have a great relationship together. I would like to see him not just put together this 2022 game plan the whole year, and we'll see, as it will definitely evolve through the year. But I will say this before we get into that, Nick. Actually, do you have thoughts on that? And then
I just wanted to say maybe it's because we're not used to seeing the New York Giants actually carry a lead for the entire time, right? Let's hope it's just that, and that's one of the reasons why it was uber conservative, and that does make sense. I mean, the Giants ran the football over 40 times in this football. When's the last time they did that?
Yeah, it was crazy, dude. They kept running, and in the red zone, just constantly running the football. Though they did have, by the way, and we'll get to it. I'm still so frustrated about the rewatching of the GVR false start in the red zone. That's a touchdown. Let's say 99% walk-in touchdown for Wan'Dale Robinson. Yeah. It was a clean pick play. They wouldn't have flagged it. It would have just been a pure, easy Jaxson Dart first touchdown. But GVR, man, I thought, we'll get into it, but I thought this was another really rough game for GVR. I don't understand how they could watch the tape and keep this guy in for now outside of the continuity factor. It's not every rep's bad, but his bad reps, man, they stand out to me, and we'll go over them and I'll get your thoughts on them. I have them all written down in my notes. So I want to ask you about a few of them. But my question for you to start the show is, think back all the games you've watched in the Brian Daboll era, in the Brian Daboll, Mike Kafka era, Joe Schoen era. I'll extend it there. It's all the same. Do you remember, context factored in, a better game overall from the Giants pass protection in this one? And by context factor, I mean, look at what the Chargers defensive front did to the top 5 ranked Denver Broncos offensive line the week before. Think about that and then translate it to this, what we just saw from the Giants pass protection. Can you remember a better game overall from our pass pro?
Look, this one's fresh in my mind, and it's so weird to say this because the Giants suffered 6 sacks in this game. I have to imagine there probably was 1 or 2 that were better, but this was, with that said, very good protection. Great pockets. I think a lot of this is also because the Chargers were a little scared of Jaxson Dart and his legs. Like, so many of those running plays, they weren't just, we're going to run the football, we're going to smash. They were RPO tags. They were RPO tags. It was like, we're going to go into the mesh point, and a lot of the times, I felt the Chargers were covering that RPO. It was either a bubble, it was a little slant. It wasn't anything too exotic or anything too creative, but the Chargers had the mindset that we're not going to allow Wan'Dale Robinson or Malik Nabers, when he was there, or whoever it is, to get the football in space with leverage to the outside and a stalk blocker. So they just handed the football off to Cam Skattebo. And I got to say this too, this was a lot from Kevin Minter, a lot of middle of the field open. A lot of too high. This was not, we're just going to load the box. And that's another reason why I think the Giants had a lot of success while also generating the most push I've seen from the offensive line unit in 2025.
The run game too, right? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Great.
And I think Skattebo also, he just has that energy, obviously, where he is going to move you, right? Like, if he runs into the back of Michael Schmitz or GVR, he's going to move.
Yeah, you're right.
It is kind of wild.
Motherfuckers, keep going.
Exactly. It is kind of wild that he fell to the 4th round, like watching him play. Like, he does seem a little bit.
He said that it had to do with what NFL, what scouts told him, or I guess maybe GMs or whatever he hears told him. It's because they thought he couldn't block. He said somebody told him, you'll fall out of the 2nd round to the 4th round because you can't block. But he's been blocking great. Like,
he might as well be Mike Allstott out there, it seems like sometimes.
Especially in the run game.
Dude, he had one where it was I think it was just Jaxson Dart keeping the football, and he runs into the midsection. It might have been of Henley, or it might have been of Alohi Gilman, and he just uprooted him. And the guy did a helicopter. It was just like a split zone type of block, with it being from Cam Skattebo. So his blocking, you could tell, and this is a football player through and through. This is somebody who internalized it, right? He's like, oh, I can't block. Really? Bet, as the kids say.
Right,
I'm
right,
going to
right.
block, and look at him out there. He's throwing blocks when he doesn't need to. I put one up on, well, I don't want to say when he doesn't need to, when other football players wouldn't. This is like a misconception
True.
in sports. We talk about effort. Effort is a skill set, right?
Yes.
People don't like to
Great point.
evaluate it like that. It is a skill set, because if it wasn't a skill set, everybody would be doing it. And players like Deontay Banks, who are an F in effort, he deserves that F because he's not giving the effort. Somebody like Cam Skattebo is an A+ when it comes to effort, especially if you tell him he can't do something. So he really seems to have internalized that, oh, you're not that great of a blocker. And he's at the NFL level blocking dudes who are 250 pounds and not losing slowly enough, but dominating the block. This guy is insane contact balance and core strength. And and he has all the passion in the world. So that came out all throughout the tape.
You're right. There was one player, I remember, where he just hustled and made a play downfield as a blocker that he just didn't even need to make. Like, the play was over. And something that I saw Nate Tice cut up earlier this week, and it was about LaQuint Allen out of Syracuse. I know who he studied as well. And it was a play that really saved the game for the Jaguars. Quentin Allen was in pass protection. He picked up his pass protection. And then, you're showing it right now, which I love. We did helicopter that dude. Quentin Allen was in pass protection. He picked up his pass protection. They threw the pass to Hunter. Hunter fumbled, but Allen followed the play and then picked up the fumble to recover it for Jacksonville. And they won the game simply because of that. Those are the type of effort plays we're going to see from players like Jaxson Dart and Cam Skattebo throughout their Giants career. In some regard, with Jaxson Dart, at least since he's our quarterback, we hope he protects himself better. But it's that level of effort. It's contagious. It's awesome to see with our team. When you cover a team, like as a fan or an analyst, you want to see these types of effort, high-level effort plays. Like, this is exactly the one I was talking about. That's the one, right? Like, he doesn't need to go downfield and block Deion Henley there, but he does because he was looking for it. And I love that's the end of this play. Henley giving him his due. Yeah.
Henley's like, that
you got it, bro.
That was good. That was good. Yeah, exactly. So I love to see that as well, man. And I expect nothing less from a player like Cam Skattebo. That's an absolute home run of a player to have on this roster under contract in a cheap manner for a while. But yeah, no, dude, this is it was an interesting overall game plan, and a lot of it was centralized, obviously, around these rookies. I want to give the Giants offensive coaching staff, even though this was a little bit rudimentary, I want to give them their flowers and their due, because you lose your star player. You saw how Minter and the Chargers were playing against Malik Nabers. It was very similar to what we saw Steve Spagnuolo do. It's very similar to what we saw a lot of these defenses not named Matt Eberflus and the Dallas Cowboys do against Malik Nabers. And that's just, we're going to put two sets of eyes on you. We are going to bracket you. We're going to have inside, outside. We're going to have trail. We're going to have over top. We're going to cloud over top you. We're going to do everything we can to ensure that you don't beat us. And the Giants were able to find some counter punches off of that, like the 3rd and 13 Daniel Bellinger play. The reason why Daniel Bellinger was wide open was because Malik Nabers was the number 2 wide receiver. He was in the slot, and he just streaked right up the seam, and he carried the safety, and he carried another player. And then the underneath middle hook player started from, I would say, closer to the hash away from Malik Nabers. And he goes all the way, and we'll break this down a little bit, all the way over to go underneath Malik Nabers, just in case Nabers was running like, a 5-6 yard hitch to prevent that yak. And then the middle of the field was just wide open for Daniel Bellinger, who just sat there and did an excellent job securing that first down. So that Malik Nabers effect is gone now. How are the Giants going to handle that?
And that's something we'll have to take a look at, because there are multiple plays I thought were good designs, but also, impacted in a lot of ways by Nabers' ability on the field. The touchdown run, the first one with Jaxson Dart, where Skattebo's the lead blocker. The Giants have 3 receivers on the left side of the field, and the attention that they're focusing on Malik Nabers on that play allows that, that hole up the middle. And that's just something that probably won't be there without Nabers. It is what it is, dude. Like, it's just our life. Like, we finally get some positive momentum. We lose him for the year. Unfortunately, it's been confirmed today. It's an ACL. I don't know much further details on it. I'm not sure if you saw. I'm hoping it's a clean ACL and not like the one not Barkley. Who was the one who had Barkley had one that was like a multi-faceted one. And it's just, it is what it is. And he's 22 years old. So hopefully he can come back stronger than ever. You just never know when it comes to athletes, but they'll have to find a way to keep, because some of the designs were great designs, but they were designs in mind. I could clearly see from Kafka of like, we have Nabers, we know, and we're going to play the chess match of, we know what the opposing defensive coordinator is going to allocate toward Nabers. So that will allow this to be open.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like the Giants had a lot of success through the air. He only threw Jaxson Dart for 111 yards. 3 of the Dart completions, and you could argue they were 3 of the most important ones. It was just a simple spacing concept, a 3-man route concept, where it was the stick out of a stack boundary. We'll go over these plays a little bit later. It was 1 to Nabers for 7, and then 1 to Darius Slayton for like 17. The other one to Darius Slayton for 8. Slayton slid into that role that Malik Nabers occupied, but it was a drag route from the on the line of scrimmage stacked player to the boundary, and then the off the line of scrimmage stacked player to the boundary sat in the stick with Cam Skattebo just running the flare. So basically, the way the defense is going to play this is going to horizontally stretch the defensive zones. And if it's man coverage, you can then also find a way to get the football to either Malik Nabers on the stick, depending on the leverage of the defense, or you can get to the drag route if there's any inside leverage there. But it's a great way to defeat zone coverage. It's something that Jason Garrett ran a lot. It's also called a snag concept. That was 3 of his 13 completions. And then I think like another, I think there was only 4 that weren't that play, or just bubbles and quick throws to the flat, like Theo Johnson in man coverage underneath the release of Darius Slayton, which we also saw. So it wasn't like he was really airing it out successfully down the football field. Now, with that said, there were a few incompletions that Jaxson Dart diagnosed, middle of the field, close, safety rotated, pre to post snap. I got Darius Slayton. Let me take that shot. Oh, I got a free play. Let me take the shot to Malik Nabers with the cover 1 safety, not anywhere near Malik Nabers. He also had one to Theo Johnson on a post wheel route where it was, and that's something we saw Kafka call a lot in 2022. That's something we've seen through the years, and I expect to see it more. We didn't see it thrown a lot when Daniel Jones was the quarterback. Dart threw it. It went out of bounds. It wasn't really catchable. You could argue that Darius
got hit while throwing. He couldn't set his feet.
Because the Chargers, they were being really disciplined, just like the Giants were, with trying to contain Jaxson Dart on those move the pocket. And that's not necessarily move the pocket, but just get out of the pocket type of passing plays. So I felt like I'm not trying to say that Jaxson Dart didn't have a good game. This is a good game. You ended up securing a win. There's just still a lot more to see from this kid because the offensive game plan didn't necessarily dictate the Giants to attack as much. It was a much more conservative approach because they had that lead, which also played right into their hands since the Giants were suffering the injury of Malik Nabers.
Right. And I don't know if you have that cut up on your plays, but if not, don't worry. I have a bunch cut up and we can clip them off. I want to definitely go over that post wheel play because I thought it was just a great example of Jaxson Dart's advanced mastery of an offense at this stage of his rookie career. That's probably not the right terms to use, but a good read for him as a rookie because I loved how he watches that DB carry. I don't know if it was Nabers still in the game at that point, whoever the vertical was in the game at that point, which confirmed to him it was Nabers, that he was going to have the wheel route open to Theo. Now, I wish instead of running kind of on that boot, he would have just kind of, because he confirmed it early. I watched his eyes. He's looking toward that DB who's then like carrying with Nabers. And then he's still kind of rolling on the boot. And then he kind of does like a jump throw to Theo. If he just resets and flips, like kind of stops and resets there and then makes the throw, that's gonna hit Theo for a big gain, potentially like a massive gain there. So, but I just love the diagnose on that. And then the Slayton one you mentioned, that was great job by him to diagnose the safety, where the safety was pre to post, and have that open throw to Slayton. We'll go over that one. I'm not sure if it's on your cut up because I want to show it otherwise. My critique on that play is no separation from Slayton, man. Like the throw is actually good. Yeah. I slowed down the throw. It was good coverage, but Slayton tries like a double move with an inside move to start and just creates, you could see the DB just does not bite on it at all. Like it creates no separation. And then he doesn't separate at any point in the route. But when you slow it down, and I put a screenshot up and the cut up of the play, the ball location was actually excellent on that play. It's outside shoulder to Slayton, and it's outside his right shoulder, which is throwing it up the right sideline. Away from his frame, like it is a catchable football that Malik Nabers probably comes down with 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, and it was also thrown like off platform. And that's something that and we said this in yesterday's recap show. This guy is just an off platform, off script type of thrower where it's like, what are you doing? But the football's getting to where it goes. And that's excellent when you are somebody who is shifty in the pocket, who is evading. If your offensive line is breaking down, like if you look at the Wan'Dale Robinson drop touchdown on 4th down, that is purely Jaxson Dart making a play. Yeah. He looks back to his left to see if Cam Skattebo was open just because he was the motioning player, and he wasn't open. And that drew 2 guys towards him. He stepped out and around to his right, bought time. Theo Johnson and Wan'Dale Robinson.
Somebody in the backfield, by the way, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Wan'Dale Robinson and Theo Johnson are freaking playing tiddlywinks in the end zone, and he lobs it up as he approaches the line of scrimmage, bringing 2 zone defenders. Like, that is like again, and we're not saying he's Patrick Mahomes. I don't like that kind of stupid stuff, but like that's a play that we've seen Mahomes make, right? Where it's just, I'm going to draw the defenders to me, and then I'm just going to loft it over the top with touch. And that's exactly what happened. And it was
And
placed
that's
right.
a flash of what's to come. Like, we are going to enjoy that as Giants fans. We're going to have plays like that where he's pulling defenders in by running and then making the decision last second to throw from a different arm angle. And then it's caught that time, because I watched that play over and over. I don't really know how Wan'Dale dropped that pass, honestly. At least from the end zone angle, it looks like it hit him directly in the hands.
Yeah,
Like, it
dude,
wasn't like overthrown
he's got
at
like
all.
7-inch hands, bro.
And it's like a touch throw too, so it should be one of the more catchable throws you'll see all season. It looked like he mistimed his jump, and then just despite mistiming his jump, it still hit him right in the hands. That's got to be a touchdown. It's all Dart. Like, it's an amazing play on fourth down. We'll go over it in a little bit, but it's good news long term, because I hate to say it, but like, that's probably not always going to go to a player like Wan'Dale Robinson. We'll see what ends up happening there. I'm not sure. Maybe he'll re-sign with the Giants. He has his role. He has some things he does well for you, but there's also some areas where it's like, that's a real concern, like, to me, that he doesn't come down with that play. It's a big gotta have it play. Now, there's a play you can argue like he could have made plays like earlier in the game. You mentioned this earlier, and we'll get into the film breakdown in a second. I know some people want that, but now we give chapters, so you can obviously just click through and fast forward if you just want to watch the play breakdowns. Please, also, by the way, before I say this, please hit the like button right now if you're watching. We need your help. You got to like this show. We're doing film breakdowns on YouTube. This takes Nick and I a ton of time, and we really enjoy it, but we need you guys to hit the like button and comment. Like and comment. Both of those things need to happen right now, actually. So please stop what you're doing and do that. Now,
fall cooking just hits different. For me, it's comfort meals during the week and tailgating food on the weekends. And if you're like me, always looking for something convenient but high quality, Omaha Steaks makes it easy. They deliver handcrafted USDA certified tender steaks, juicy burgers, chicken wings, and big deli style franks right to your door. I had their filet mignons recently. Oh, perfectly aged, buttery, tender, and honestly better than most restaurant cuts. The convenience of having that level of quality in my freezer, ready for a quick weeknight dinner or Saturday grill out, it's a total game changer. Get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Red Hot sale event. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code BANTER at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code BANTER at checkout. Minimum purchase may apply. See site for details. A big thanks to our advertiser, Omaha Steaks. Link in description and pinned comment. Go to omahasteaks.com to get 50% off site-wide during their Red Hot sale event and use promo code BANTER at checkout for an extra $35 off. I've been wearing underwear every day for years, mostly, but I've never really felt like I found the one, Either it rides up, punches, or just feels off. So when I found out Skims was making underwear for men, I was honestly pretty excited. I tried their cotton 5-inch boxer briefs, and wow, they're a game changer. They hit perfectly at the thigh and actually stay there. No bagging, no wedgies by 5 o'clock, just pure comfort. And for the gym, the stretch 5-inch boxer briefs are amazing. They move with you as you work out. They keep your shape, your form, and they do not ride up. If you want to feel comfortable, confident, and actually enjoy your underwear, shop Skims Men at skims.com. Let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show, Big Blue Banter, in the drop-down menu that follows. And if you're looking for the perfect gifts for the whole family, Skims just launched a big holiday sale. So go to skims.com and check them out.
You mentioned earlier the 6 sacks and how it's odd for us to say like this might be the best game in pass protection relative to the context of the defensive line they face and how well they've been playing when a team took 6 sacks. Well, you said it yesterday on the show, and I think the film confirmed for me, most of these sacks, if not all of these sacks, were on the quarterback, or at times it's either not only the quarterback, there was a play late in the game where just no one was open, and the offensive line did an incredible job. Dart's trying to figure something out, and there's just no separation at all. But then there's also like the 3rd and 14 at the end of the game where I blame that mostly on Dart, because you mentioned like the comeback route on the left hash, but there was also like an opportunity, if you read the safety on the right side of the field, to hit Wan'Dale Robinson on a vertical. He might have not caught that, and the coverage was pretty good. Wan'Dale puts his hand up a little prematurely in my mind, whatever. Point being, like, he is staring down Theo at that point, and the protection is unreal. It's only a 3-man pass rush. Protection is unreal on that play, Nick, and he's just staring Theo trying to move him with his hand. But even if he gets Theo to move, it's like an underneath throw that would have been an 8 or 9 yard gain. So I just didn't love that read from Dart.
Yeah, no, I feel that. And there were a lot of plays like that. Well, I don't want to say a lot, but there were enough plays like that.
Yeah.
As Daboll said after the game, it's like,
You're
look,
right.
it wasn't perfect, but he's a rookie. He's going to make those mistakes, and there were rookie mistakes, and there were flashes of greatness. And I do want to applaud the Giants' protection and their offensive line, because they were blitzing, like not a ton, but they blitzed a decent amount. And a lot of
Sure.
it was simulated pressure as well, trying to confuse the Giants protection and then also confuse Jaxson Dart. I think they blitzed like a 40-something% rate. We had Jaxson Dart in the shotgun 88% of the time. It was 11 personnel 83% of the time. The Giants were running I think 54% run calls in this game with the lead, but a lot of that was RPO tags. As we said, a 68% first down run rate from the Giants. And the Giants also, their motion rate was down to 29% in this game, when it was up to 51% in the previous 3 games with Russell Wilson. I don't know exactly what that is, if that's an operational thing, if that's because they were down, but it's just something to monitor as we go forward here. But yeah, the offensive line, they were picking up these twists. They were doing really well in protection. I thought Michael Schmitz had another good game here. People are talking about this one play on Twitter where it looks like he gets bowled over. It does kind of look like he got bowled over. I thought at first somebody stepped on his foot, and then I look and I'm just like, no, he might have just got bitched. And that's something that sometimes happens to JMS, and it's a little annoying. Yeah. But I just wanted to bring JMS up because I do see people I respect on Twitter saying like, yeah, man, he should probably be benched. And look, man, like I'm not there. I think JMS, and I wanted to ask you this. I think he might be one of the more underrated players on the Giants because he is rated so lowly. Not because he is good, but because like the thought of him, I feel like is not commensurate with his skill set and what he offers the Giants offense, even though that's not what the Giants spent the 59th overall pick or whatever it was.
I know exactly how you're framing this, Nick. It's a funny way to frame it, but I totally understand what you're trying to say. And in that framing, I think you're correct. And I think the problem for a lot of people with JMS, even myself included, because I'm not quite there where you are on this game, is I think the problem is, and this is on us, like me as an evaluator, the really bad reps, because it wasn't just the one that you mentioned. There were at least 2 others that I have in my notes. One, I'll look in a second to get the exact one I wanted to ask you about. I'll find it in a moment. There's a bunch of just things I have down on a Google Doc. But the bad plays stick in my mind. But it's 50, 60 snaps a game. And I don't think you can only evaluate a player on the bad snap. Similar thing happens with GVR, though I just feel like GVRs are just like way worse than Schmidt. When I see some of these snaps from GVR, like the red zone run with the Skattebo, like he's just completely loses his rep. Like it's like these like quick losses for GVR just kill me, Nick. It's almost like, is he just like too slow to like get off the snap at this point in his career against some of these defensive tackles? Because it a lot of the times does look that way to me when I'm watching the all-22 end zone angle with GVR. So I think like if I were to rank these players from the overall standpoint and not just single focus on the bad reps, right? Like try to keep in mind it's 60 reps and there's some good reps mixed in with the bad, and the bad don't determine everything. I probably agree with that assessment by you because he's viewed as like the worst of the worst on this interior. And ultimately speaking, like he's obviously not their best lineman. That's by far and away Andrew Thomas.
Dude,
we'll talk about that later.
That.
We'll talk about that later because there were some takes earlier this offseason like Giants need to trade AT. It's time to trade AT. This injury history, he'll never stay healthy. I think trade AT. I couldn't think of a dumber thing for the Giants to do. They won't find a tackle with this they won't find this tackle again for maybe 50 years, literally 50 years. I would imagine. Like, I'll say this. They found it luckily with Kareem McKenzie. It was a different time. Like you could just like find free agents like that. That's very rare. That doesn't happen a lot in the NFL. You need to draft these guys now. And who have the Giants drafted in their history that's as good of a left tackle as Andrew Thomas?
Look, we were a little young with the Kareem.
This is a 100-year history.
Yeah, no, exactly. We were a little young with Kareem McKenzie, but I don't think Kareem McKenzie, and I have a lot of respect for Kareem McKenzie, is Andrew Thomas. I think Andrew Thomas is a different type of player.
And I would agree with that too. And I like McKenzie's probably that next tier, and maybe just slightly. Point being, like draft wise, we haven't done anything. It's 100 years to find a player like this. So I'll take the injured seasons if they come, which we don't even know. He could stay healthy the rest of his career. There's no guarantee a player's going to get injured. He played this game, came out fine. Like sometimes injuries are just bad luck, simple bad luck. And also some of them are just on the turf field because you're playing on a turf field. Like, I don't know, but I don't believe that Nabers injury happens on a grass field. Just my personal opinion. I'll never know. There's no way to prove it, but it is what it is on that front. But yeah, I would agree with your overall assessment there. But the real deal is like, ultimately, if we want to be this team, which I think we want to be with Skattebo and with Dart, we really need to like focus on creating an entire environment that embodies it. And I just don't think that interior offensive line is that, even JMS included. Like, yes, you know what I'm saying? Like, we need
of course.
it's powerful interior. So if anything frees up at any point in free agency or trade, the Giants need to get super aggressive to get a player like that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. We need like the Trey Smiths of the world,
Yes,
the Tyler
exactly.
Smiths of the world,
Yeah,
players like that
right.
who can move
Frank
body
Ragnow. I would
Yeah.
love to get a Frank Ragnow type on our line at any point.
Exactly. But just with this offense overall, before we get into some of these plays, and a lot of what we're saying, we'll try to glean from the plays, like show you exactly what we're talking about. But the offense, it's not like they reinvented the wheel, right? It was different. It was certainly different than the Russell Wilson offense, but it was still pretty rudimentary. And geez, do the Giants love to rely on that quarterback draw? rely on Jaxson Dart's legs,
even
man.
at times where they shouldn't, like that 3rd and goal. For God's sake, there was never. That's such a bad call. Did you watch that play? Well, I was right what I said last night, right? Like that play had no chance to work from the start.
Everybody knew it was coming.
Yeah, like you could see the Chargers defense, like no chance an interior run was going to work there.
Not even with Cam Skattebo blocking.
No, right. And even if he had given it to Scat on that, Scat had no room either. So it's just a bad play call.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, is there anything else we want to really get into? I was a little surprised to see that much middle of the field open and that much depth from their safeties against. Now they were really quick to fit. Like they were flying downhill.
I think that's just how they play, Minter, right?
I have to imagine. I didn't do an extensive study of him through all of the games. I only watched some of the Denver Broncos game. So, but yeah, no, that's I figured, especially after Malik Nabers got hurt, we would see a much more tighter approach from their defense. But hey, it looks like it probably benefited the New York Giants in the long run.
True. And one final note before we get into it, I don't know if you'll cover it, but I did like to see on that 2-point conversion by the Giants, which ended up being a pretty big 2-point conversion. One, the Giants marrying the run game and the pass game. Kafka ran the same play with that Wan'Dale in motion, and instead of actually, running that pick play pass, they ran the ball. And then 2, you watch the end of the line, end of line of scrimmage player for the Chargers there. I think it was number 3 at that point, and he's just held up, frozen up, trying to make sure Jaxson Dart doesn't keep the ball instead of crashing down, which allows Skattebo to get in there for that 2-point conversion. That's like the proof in the pudding that Jaxson Dart is improving this run game.
100%, man. All right. Do we want to get into some of these plays, bro?
Yeah, let's do it.
2nd and 5, quarter 1, 13-12. First drive for the New York Football Giants. We're just going to have a little RPO, free access to Malik Nabers. And this is another one of those off-balance throws that we're seeing, and it drew a penalty over here, defensive pass interference. I'm wondering, though, was this going to be a quarterback draw? Because watch Cam – now, it might not be, but watch Cam Skattebo on this play just throw that block. I'm wondering if this was a RPO quarterback draw from the Giants. And it wouldn't really surprise me too much, right? Because you have those blocks out front. And I think Jaxson Dart, you could see he's turning his head. You'll see this from the end zone view. He's seeing if Malik Nabers is winning on his outside release, and then he's seeing what that safety is doing. And that safety takes a step down. And right when that safety stops his drop, that's when Jaxson Dart hits that back foot and then fires the football. You can see the safety right now, although Gilman is going downhill. Like this is going to be either a run from Cam Skattebo, which it's not because he's throwing a block, or Jaxson Dart. So I think this was a free access RPO to quarterback draw to Malik Nabers, which is something we're probably going to see a decent amount.
Yeah, very cool.
Not with the Malik Nabers part.
Look at Skattebo. Yeah. Such a beast.
I know it's.
Oh my God, dude, so physical.
He's so physical. Who is that? That's Troy Dye, I think. Yeah, he's
just to take it.
That's
there were 2 runs where Skattebo got into the hole, dude. And like every other running back I've ever seen in that position would then try to go lateral to juke the defender. Like it's just like a safety coming down to fill. And he just goes straight at the dude both times, like head first, bang, right into him. That's how he attempts to finish runs. And I just love that about him.
Oh, absolutely. All right. 2nd and 8, same drive. This is the spacing snag concept that Dan and I were talking about a little bit earlier. It has a backside dig and a deep crossing route to the backside of this play. Now on the front side, you're going to see it's a stack. It's to the boundary. All 3 of these plays are the same exact formation, the same exact route concepts on both. Sometimes they change it up. Sometimes they'll change up the backside and the front side concepts. This was the same. All 3. This was the first one to Malik Nabers. You're going to see Malik Nabers just sit in the void. You have the drag route from Theo Johnson, and then the flare drags removes and displaces the defender who was sitting in the curl flat. So now you have, this is like a cover 4 quarters look. So what that does with Cam Skattebo going to the flat, that means the curl flat is going to match him. So Malik Nabers sits, and since Malik Nabers is more vertical than Cam Skattebo, number 20, and then the other safety, one of those two needs to take Malik Nabers. There's like a 6-7 yard depth right there. This is processed by Jaxson Dart. Jaxson Dart, right when that defender taking Skattebo crosses his face, fires the football. Just good scheming, simple, very easy, just simple spacing and snag concepts that end up moving the chains for the New York Giants, or at least getting them into position to do so. Create the space, stretch the zones horizontally, and attack.
I think we could take that analysis that you just broke down so well, put it over tape from 2022, and it would just be like the exact same concept that we would run in 2022. It's simple. Why not? Sometimes spacing concepts are the solution, and this was a clear example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Daniel Jones ran this well too. And it's something that we need to see from Skattebo is when stuff like this is getting removed. How do you adapt? How do you handle that? Now we're gonna have a 1st and 10. After this right here is just a rerun. 1st and 10, quarter one, 11:51. I just love the vision by Cam Skattebo here.
That's what we talked about a lot from watching his Arizona State tape, that jump cut and the ability to process runs behind the line of scrimmage. He's viewed as like this power back with a lot of lateral agility and explosion, but his vision is a very underrated part of this game.
He's aware of his feet too. That's why I was surprised he got tackled near the goal line on that one play, because he went for the stiff arm instead of and then he got tackled. But he's really, like, his foot awareness is crazy. Like here, he jumps over, regains his balance. A good finish by John Runyon, JMS and John Runyon with that combo block. JMS does a really good job to pick up Deion Henley. It's a 16-yard gain, and the Giants are just taking advantage of how the Chargers defense is playing against them. They're in plus splits here. You can't see it from this angle, but their wide receivers on both sides of the football are outside of the number. So everything is wide, and this is another too high shell. So the Giants put Theo Johnson in the backfield. He can be that split block on the inside zone, and then you just run Cam Skattebo into a much lighter box, and the Giants were able to take advantage of that basically the entire game. Now we're going to have a quarter one, 11:10 left. So still on that first drive. 2x2 wide to a fast 3x1 with Wan'Dale Robinson. You can see how the defense adjusts off of that. And Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be in the flat now. And the Giants love doing this to try to displace defenders, second-level defenders. The fake pitch. The fake pitch is another big thing that Mike Kafka was doing basically all season. And Dart just takes it himself on this one. 9-yard rush, man. Got Devin Singletary on that side.
Does freeze the defender for a second, which allows the block.
Yeah, exactly. And then John Runyon, that allows John Runyon to get over. You can see the entire defense is looking. That fast 3, that Wan'Dale Robinson, it kind of threw everything off. Watch Deion Henley. Deion Henley, his eyes are on Devin Singletary because he can't see where the football is. So he's following Devin Singletary. That's processed by Jaxson Dart. This is where Dart was excellent with plays like this. And the defense didn't do the best job trying to contain him with those simple just misdirections. But again, I want to see curveballs and counter punches, not just from Jaxson Dart when those are handled by the defense, but from this coaching staff.
Yeah. Yes.
Now we're going to have a 10:05, 1st and 10. We have the too high defense. It's a 13-yard dig route to Malik Nabers. Look, there wasn't a lot of like just progressions going or from Jaxson Dart. Like a lot of it was first read, a lot of it was RPOs and things like that. But here's one where you have the too high. You have Malik Nabers in the slot. It's a zone defense, empty formation. Dart steps up. There's 9 guys in coverage, and they rush 2. They drop 9. You rarely ever see that, right? And the 2 that drop end up just being underneath defenders who are also zone. But you could see the respect that Kevin Minter is paying the Giants from a deep safety standpoint. But I don't think they do a great job with Malik Nabers here. There might have been because Malik Nabers just gets behind Deion Henley, and look at the safety. He's 7 yards away from him. So Nabers finds that soft spot, and Dart is able to like a shortstop fielding a ground ball, throw this football in.
Yeah,
low into the inside, but it's still caught.
Yeah, I talked about this play a little bit on Twitter earlier. I just love a few things about this play that we talked about ourselves, like throughout the preseason, watching Dart, throughout training camp, watching Dart, and then last night on the show. It's a lot of the traits I like about Dart are on display on this rep. The ability to change his arm slot. You just said give that like shortstop, which that he needs to change his arm slot here to get that throw off, or else that other defender is going to get his hand in the passing lane and bat it down. Also, another example of him stepping up through the pocket rather than bailing right, which is always good. Eyes are downfield. Like when he steps up through, Nick, I like that his eyes are downfield. And then it's finding a second and third window throw here. Like this is not the first window for Nabers here. It's a good job by Nabers to sit into that zone, but Dart, it's a good job also by Dart to keep his eyes up and find Nabers sitting in that zone.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is all something that he's processed pre to post, right? Because he
Yep.
sees those safeties. Those safeties don't buzz down. Those safeties turn outward, right? So he's like, all right, I know I have Nabers on that in route. I know I have Nabers on that dig. He just has to basically outpace Dayon Henley. And that's
Yep.
exactly what he does. Like, I'm surprised they allowed Nabers to be that open.
Agreed. Yeah. Especially when you're dropping 9.
Yeah, 9, dude. Look at those big guys over there, man. It's like Dexter Lawrence in coverage, baby. All right, here we are. Quarterback draw for 15-yard touchdown rush. And there, if you watch it from this perspective, you have a 3-by-1 set. Cam Skattebo is to the one receiver side. Malik Nabers are going to run a stick outside deliberately to draw those defenders away. 2 safeties high, very light box. Cam Skattebo throws the 1 block that's needed, and Jaxson Dart outpaces 2 guys for the end zone. Easy. That's a very easy, like, well-designed play, but very easy against this defense.
Against this defense, which is set up in my mind to take away Malik Nabers on the outside. Yep. And you could see it as the second safety. I don't know if that's Derwin James, whoever that is out there, kind of cheats to try to take away that inbreaker or that outbreaker from Nabers, but the play ultimately isn't even a pass. So it's like he's taken out of that play by putting that extra attention on Nabers. It's an issue, Nick, because like, you know, if we put Slayton or whoever in the slot there, are they going to be allocating the same players to that receiver? Probably not. So this is probably not a play that will work again, for at least not for 15 yards. But, you know, it's an adjustment the Giants will have to make to do other things to try to win.
Look, you got a 4 tech and a 3 tech, and then Henley, and then everybody else is just outside the tackle box. This is such a light box.
Right.
And then the other
there were a few surprisingly light boxes I thought the Chargers played against the Giants, and the Giants just ran on in this game.
Yeah, hey, man, take what's there.
And yeah, I just worry that's not going to be there every week. But yeah,
you got to make your adjustments, and that's where I worry. Coaching staff make the adjustments. 3rd and 6, Darius Slayton comeback route. Man, the amount of command and poise and just overall awareness and confidence you have to make a play like this. That's what is giving me hope about Jaxson Dart. Is just like, look how calm he is. Keeps his eyes downfield, communicates, sees the coverage, understands that he has a 9 route from Slayton. Slayton does a great job breaking this route off. You can see it from the other angle. And this is under pressure, man. This is under a blitz on your own goal line. There's a lot of reason to be like, damn, man, that's excellent. This is 7-man protection. It's picked up well. Watch Dart evade. Everybody else steps back up with the quarterback spies. He's communicating to Slayton. Slayton creates separation, gets back. 18-yard game, man. That's very well done by Jaxson Dart.
Well said. Yeah, he does a great job of just climbing through the pocket again, keeping his eyes downfield while climbing, and a great off-platform throw. Like, he's rolling to his right. He can't set his feet, and he gets a lot of velocity on this throw in addition to it being pinpoint placement.
Dude, that's right on the outside number right there. That's perfect.
With velocity.
With a lot of velocity. Yeah, no, just darts out of his hand. Nah, I'm not going to make those dumb jokes, man. But it did just stupid mind.
We don't need to.
3rd and 10. This is where Dart gets sacked towards the end of the first quarter. You know, I like the sail concept, but I don't like when the Giants run it from these formations, from this tight stack, because I just don't know if I remember it ever working. It seems like whenever the Giants, whether it was Daniel Jones in this offense, Jaxson Dart, or Russell Wilson, where they would run this concept you're about to watch, it always ended up in the Giants getting sacked, like where it was a stack and then they both branch off like this. And then you have a 3-level sail read. I'm fine with the sail concept, but it just doesn't seem to work too well from the condensed stack. At least it hasn't. And I'm trying to think, like, when has it, right? And I know Jones wasn't he didn't frequently target those outside breaking routes like that, but still, man, like, I don't love how these play. They always seem very easily covered. Now, could you have gotten the football to Nabers here? I mean, I don't know. You have that one defender who's just about to flip his hips. You know, it would have to be like perfect. And I think that's
a tight window throw that could be picked easily. I know Nabers puts his hand up. I'm with you on that. Maybe there's a different way to run this route where it's not as condensed and you don't have so many defenders in the area.
I mean, yeah, there's so many ways you can get to a sail concept. But yeah, this one is just always seems covered up, and the only option that's feasible is just dumping it off.
Down. Yeah, which would have gotten there anyway.
So yeah, the Giants end up taking this sack. And this is when you see Hyatt in the game with Nabers still in. He was the backside. Hyatt, whenever there was a front side concept, you had Hyatt running the deep dig, the 9, the horizontal cross. And I don't think Dart looked his way like one time.
And he did not look his way one time. It's crazy.
Here's the 2nd and 5 slide protection where Tuipulotu gets an unblocked sack on Jaxson Dart. And you can see what the Chargers are doing. This is a good play on 2nd and 5 from the Chargers, because you have, I think that's a Hyatt running the motion. He's going to be a fast 4 now. So it's empty, 5-man protection. That's confirmed to the Chargers with Hyatt going towards the fast four, and you're going to see how that removes a defender. So Dart now thinks, hey, I have a one-on-one matchup with Malik Nabers to the lone receiver side. Let me take it. But you'll see how the Chargers drop two guys. They initially look like they're going on the blitz, and then they drop off underneath Malik Nabers on the inside breaking route. Dart sees that. He goes, oh, shit. And then he's like, wait, wasn't there another? Boom, I get sacked. Wasn't there another guy over there? Because Jermaine Illuminor, he can't do anything in this situation. He has to remove the inside threat. This is on Jaxson Dart to process that. He fails to do so, and he gets walloped by Tuipulotu. And a good play by the Chargers to remove Malik Nabers.
I said this in the preview. I thought we would get at least one of these types of sacks. This is what you lose when you go from Dart to Russell. It's just something you have to accept, that he's not going to – there will be some mistakes like this from a pre to post snap standpoint. Because, you could see from that, he does have the option on the right side of the field. Who is that? Theo Johnson? Bellinger actually underneath. But he has to come to that much quicker.
Yeah, and there's really nothing he could do. I mean, this is a simulated pressure. You're going to see 90 drop off, and that throws GVR off. So GVR is going to, instead of taking 43, he has to step with 90. He has to say slid protection to the left, and then the right side was exposed.
Yeah, I guess he helps with JMS.
All right. And here we're going to have the Daniel Bellinger play, just a good sit. You can see how Nabers is bracketed here. Watch Nabers as the number 2 in the 3x1. And you see how that middle hook defender is just like, oh, I don't even care about Daniel Bellinger. I got to run Nabers. This is a 3rd and 13, They have 2 guys over the top. That's because of Nabers' route as well. That deep post looks like it was going to be open as well. And that's what we're going to lose, man, is that attention to Malik Nabers. And you look at the bottom of the screen, this would have been a far hash throw, but it's Darius Slayton against a flat defender. And Darius Slayton, he's in that honey hole just chilling, but, it didn't really matter because Bellinger was wide open over the middle of the field.
Yep.
Second, after this
good job again by him stepping up through the pocket.
Yeah, man. And this is why we love Daniel Bellinger, man. Like soft hands. Like that's not the best throw. It's high, right?
He's gonna get hit.
Yeah, he's going to get hit, and Bellinger makes the catch and then is able to fall over bodies to secure the first down.
Dude has like a 94% catch rate since entering the NFL. He deserves to be on the field more.
And even though Theo had a touchdown in this game, and this wasn't a bad game by Theo, and I really appreciate how Theo blocked, there's still plays where I'm like, this guy's just slow, right? Like there's just still plays where I'm like, can you do more?
Yeah.
And I feel like, am I just being unfair to him? But I loved him out of the draft, right? Like I love that draft pick.
Yeah.
So
I don't think you're being unfair on Theo. He needs to develop, and he will ultimately.
I think so too. Here's a red zone play where we're gonna have looks like Bo Collins clears out. You have Theo Johnson underneath wheeling, and then you have also, this is like not a terribly designed play, but this is something where the Giants, they haven't had success with this Wan'Dale Robinson underneath, right? You go into the mesh point, you're gonna have Theo Johnson clear out and wheel with Bo Collins also clearing out. So they're clearing that entire side of the field to the boundary side for Wan'Dale Robinson underneath. And this should be like an easy just check down, but they cover it. They cover it really quickly. Now, could Jaxson Dart have gotten the football to Wan'Dale now? I think so. I think he might have been a little bit like a tick too late because you have Wan'Dale open here. So Dart maybe should have been a little bit quicker with the football, but good on the Chargers for being disciplined and man on the line of scrimmage to position himself between Wan'Dale and Jaxson Dart. But yeah, Dart ends up.
Even if he does, though, it's not going for much. And, it's just I feel like our route concepts in the red zone are so, I don't want to say the word gimmicky, but they're not vertical in nature. And I watched just from last night, that Sunday Night Football game, I watched how Matt LaFleur designs his red zone offense. It looks nothing like how Kafka calls a red zone offense for now. We've had 4 different quarterbacks or 5 different quarterbacks with the Giants. And so I just want to see more concepts that break into the route concepts that break in the end zone, stress the defense vertically, but then also horizontally with just in breakers. Cause I know he can throw these timing routes and he can stick throws.
Yeah, this is specifically designed to Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah, it's just a one design, right? Exactly, and that's just what if the team's going to guess it underneath, which they have been able to pinpoint on us.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it's Wan'Dale or Tyrone Tracy Jr., because we saw that earlier in the season with Tyrone Tracy Jr. too.
Right.
And the next play, what was that next play? Was I think 3rd and 11 after that, and the protection broke down. Yeah, it's not great. And here's just a miss, but I like this play design by the Giants.
Yeah,
1st and 10, quarter 3. 12-25, because the Giants, look, you're going to have Devin Singletary. You're going to motion Darius Slayton over to the left, and then you're going to snap the football, and you're going to fake pitch to Devin Singletary. That is going to freeze all those second-level defenders, just as you see on the screen right now. And then it's like a pop pass to Theo Johnson. But again, Jaxson Dart is off target here, but I also I think Theo like kind of slows down. Like I don't think
Well, I
Theo
thought
is like, look, Theo, like right here, it seems like he's not like, he looks slow to me. All right. And again, I don't know if I'm being unfair.
yeah. Let
Like,
me take
look,
a look
like
again at it. It does look slow to get there. I think also the biggest factor here is that edge that comes in. I guess is it on GVR or no? Is it on Schmitz? Schmitz
no,
doesn't
it's
get
on
out
John
there.
Michael Schmitz.
Yeah,
That's a tough
because that
protection. That's a tough
it's a tough
protection.
protection. It's a tough ask for sure. It's a second level defender climbing up, but like I think it impacted his throwing lane, and he has to try to make that wide throw around him to the left of the defender to Jaxson Dart's right instead of being able to just drive the throw.
I'm wondering why the Giants pull GVR here. Now I get you have an unblocked defender because Theo Johnson's running the
I was
route,
thinking the same thing.
but you have two. Well, they don't know that
Just
the
to sell
linebacker.
the fake. I think it's just to sell the fake.
They don't know the linebacker is going on the blitz, but that's tough for JMS. Like this is so well. This is such a great counter punch by Kevin Minter because JMS has to handle the two technique, right? The two technique slants inward. JMS is like, oh, that's my guy. But then they blitz the linebacker to that same side. So now you have a 2-versus-1, and JMS needs to pass that two technique that was originally over GVR all the way to John Runyon and then locate that linebacker. And that's difficult. And yeah, I think that's the reason why this ends up going incomplete. But it does, I don't know, seem like maybe there's just like a little like slow down there. But I might just being mean. All right. Here's the touchdown, though. Let's go, Theo Johnson. Absolutely love that. Little shovel pass. No Kansas City Chiefs action.
Yeah, this is straight out the Kansas City Chiefs playbook.
It's not the cleanest thing you'll ever see, but it doesn't have to be. It ends up being a touchdown. Good job by John Runyon. Now we're going to have a 3rd and 14 early in the fourth quarter. We have a cover 4 pre to cover 1 from the Giants. And you have another one of those fake pitches that the Giants absolutely love to run. And it just seems like
this was
Jackson.
Yeah. Like nothing open.
Yeah. But like, I think you have Theo Johnson right there to throw a little bit with anticipation because it's cleared out.
Yeah, I think you're actually right.
Hyatt clears out at the top of the screen. Jaxson Dart
takes the safety with him. You're right.
Jaxson Dart, I'm not 100% sure if he's looking to see if Darius Slayton is going to clear here. You had the rotation from a 4 look to a 3 look. So, or like
I think he's looking for that field side inbreaker, but it just gets the linebacker gets the good depth.
Yeah, it goes incomplete. That timestamp is wrong, I believe, by the way, guys. So don't pay attention to that. Now we're gonna have a here's the 3rd and 14.
Yeah, so this is the one that we were discussing earlier, which I would credit to Jaxson Dart for taking this sack.
Yeah, so you have Bo Collins open. It looks like he wants to go to the number 2, which is that Jalen Hyatt or the number 3, who is Theo Johnson, who sits, and then you have a deep, basically not a corner route, but it's like a streak that bends a little bit towards the 20. I guess you can call it a corner, but Bo Collins has that curl, that deep curl. And the pocket is just beautiful. And Dart just doesn't pull the trigger or doesn't see it. But if you look at it pre to post snap, you have a 4 look, a lot of off leverage, which they saw. Right. They were not pressed up on the Giants receivers all game. There was a lot of off and soft leverage in this game. And Bo Collins just sits. But it looks to me like Jaxson Dart wanted to get the football to Theo Johnson. And
yeah, he's staring at him the whole time, even tries to direct him at some point.
I think he's trying to direct him. Yes, let's see.
But it's too underneath, so it's not going there. This is an example of probably not his best processing, I would say. He kind of, to me, stares down Theo for the entire play and then decides to take off and roll that back real quick to the field angle. There were definitely examples earlier, and maybe ones we'll go over at the end. Hold on to the other angle if we can get it, of Dart like recognizing the pre to post snap safety rotations, but I didn't think this was a great one because the safety on the right side of the field comes down and he might be able to then, with all this time he has in the pocket, pull the trigger and try something deep here to Wan'Dale. It's not going to be the easiest throw, but it's just something better than this, and it's a better solution. And these are also like, what'd you say?
Wan'Dale got him turned around too.
That's
I don't know,
man.
That safety's so square.
Yeah, the safety's pretty square in the middle. So it's a tough throw for sure. But we did see Russ hit a few of those against Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not an impossible throw if you trust it.
And after this, we have the 4th and 3. Broken play in the red zone. We'll go through that here in a second. Where, look, man.
He's got to catch this one, though.
No, it's so frustrating. You can see, man,
more frustrating.
Dart does such a good job there, too. Trying to make something because there's really not, like, again, it's that same concept. You're going to bring Wan'Dale Robinson underneath. You have Wan'Dale Robinson underneath. Tuipulotu's like, screw you. Wando Robinson is funny every time the Giants try to use him as a lead blocker because he just gets thrown. He gets thrown aside. Now he gets in the way, but he gets thrown aside. He's not Tay Banks. Like, he's not scared of contact. Like, he will run into you, and I respect that about Wandale, but he's small guy. But yeah, this is frustrating. You got to catch that, man. Good job by both Theo and Wandale to find the soft spot, and they both do. But of course, it's the 5'7" guy who tries to get it, and not the 6'6" one. And yeah, you'll see it from this angle. Good move by Dart. And then he presses the line of scrimmage, lobs it up.
It's just
that's a good play.
I think I have the other angle too from the back, which we can show maybe at the end. It just really looks like a drop from that angle.
I mean, it is a drop. There's
bad one though.
Yeah. I mean, Gilman just knocks it out. He just couldn't handle the strength of the defender hit him, secured through contact. 3rd and 5, quarter 4, 2:38. This is the play that Brian Daboll was talking about in the post-game press conference.
Yep.
Just sit against zone. And this, dude, how many times do we see Y cross from this offense? All the freaking time. Instead, here, if you get zone coverage, just sit. And you'll see Dart processes the smash You have a smash concept, 3x1 set, everything inside of the numbers. So you have the smash, and then you just have Theo sit, quickly processed by Jaxson Dart, fire the football. Excellent play. Absolutely love that. This is big, dude. This forced the Chargers to burn their final timeout, got them down within the 2-minute warning. Big play by Jaxson Dart and Theo Johnson. If Theo dropped that, oh my gosh.
Oh my God, that would have been devastating. And I'll say this, I respect it because I know how he is as a coach, and it ended up working out because there were just simply not, like, I guess just not enough time. But after Dart converts that 3rd and 5 right there, Nick, I like to just give the rookie the confidence, like show the confidence in the rookie, because the Giants had a 3rd and 5 then 2 plays later, and they just kind of ran it up the middle to burn clock and burn that final timeout or whatever it was.
I'm fine with them.
I'm fine with it in the scheme of the game, but I still always lean toward trying to win the game in those spots, and I will just always be, especially after he just proved he could do it, Jaxson Dart. And worst case scenario, if something wasn't there, Nick, like if he didn't get the same kind of look he just got and wasn't able to process a player like Theo or whoever may be sitting in the zone, Dart himself could have just tucked the ball and ran, and it would have been the same end result as handing the ball to Skattebo. At least you gave yourself the opportunity to try to win the football game right there and not put it back in the other quarterback's hands. And I'll tell you why I do care, because that time it worked because there was enough time left on the clock that it didn't matter. There was not enough time left on the clock, but I've seen Daboll make that decision when there's too much time left on the clock, and it ends up haunting the Giants. So it's not just a good job by him in that regard. I think he's made that mistake before, and it's actually come back to haunt them. But it is what it is.
Alrighty, let's see some of these clips that you added up here.
Yeah, I just threw some fun Skattebo runs in here just to kind of go over what we were talking about before. Here he is. Like, that's how he decides to take on a defender who's coming at him. It's not like, let me try to juke this guy. It's, if you meet me in the hole, I will deliver the blow, and you're going to have to deal with this all game for me. So get used to it, which I think sets the tone and eventually wears down a defense.
Absolutely, man. Dude, the guy's a warthog out there, man. This dude's just look at that.
JMS loses. This is another one where I didn't love from JMS personally, but like,
why is that?
JMS loses.
He definitely
pretty much right away, and it almost ruins the play. But it's never ruined with Skattebo because he'll just gonna pull you through. Like, I see a lot of running backs get stopped up there after the penetration.
Yeah, no, JMS, you could see that the defensive player does a great job pressing that inside shoulder of JMS and then putting his near hip in that hole. You see that? That's him executing his run fit. But still, I think this is like a 6-yard gain or something. Just because Skattebo is a beast. And then we also have,
and this is just the one we were talking about before, where he did it because we saw some of the bad job. This is the post wheel where he does a good job of reading that safety or the D back flowing over the top to try to take away Nabers. And the safety coming down, both. Yeah,
just post wheel. And the idea here is we want to isolate Theo Johnson against the curl flat defender if it's cover 3. And it ends up being cover 3. You could see that it's the far safety that ends up taking the middle third. And it's the near safety to the concept, the boundary safety, that sinks. So the strong side safety sinks. And he's in the way of Jalen Hyatt on the backside coming across the field. But, man, when you look at this, there's not a ton of space, and Jaxson Dart, he's in a tough spot here, Dan, but it's a good read, as you said. You disappeared, by the way. There you are.
I'm back. And then let's run this next one. This is one that could have been a touchdown if Slayton wasn't held. And hold on, go back real quick. See, what I love about this play is Jaxson Dart. Yeah, and you can roll back to that. That's my fault. I didn't need you to go back. I just needed to pause on the other one, which I don't have full access to.
Which one do you want?
The next one, the pre-snap to Slayton. The one that says Dart. Look at the check. He makes a check pre-snap with the receiver. If you can roll back,
Yeah.
And he recognizes something he likes pre-snap here, makes a check in his first game ever starting with his wide receivers, as you can see on both sides, gets the exact look that he wants, throws this ball, would be touchdown, but Slayton gets held up. If Slayton isn't held up, he's running under that for a touchdown and would have been a sick throw that we all would have loved.
Yeah.
I just love the pre-snap check here from Dart in his first game.
Yeah, he sees that this is probably going to be a blitz and it's going to
Right.
be a cover zero type of look. And it's right there. You see, he's going to snap. He puts his hands out, and then you see how they all jump into the gap.
Yep.
That's when he makes that adjustment and looks at Slayton and says, "Hey, if it's
Pretty
cover
cool.
zero, I'm that deep."
Pretty damn cool to see a rookie doing this in his first game, making that adjustment, seeing the blitzers, seeing that it's going to be cover zero type look, making those checks with receivers and getting exactly what he thought he would get. Again, if Slayton isn't held up here, this is a touchdown and one of the best highlights probably of Dart's rookie season, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's poised again under pressure, just buys time, fires, and protection is good. That's a whole nother thing, man. Protection is good.
And then one more to show, just because it's just too fun not to show, and we didn't have it before. There's nothing to really show with it. Oh, sorry. Let me get rid of the other ones from the studio so we can get to that. Let's see. Yeah, this one is just Dart is an absolute animal. I just wanted people to see the end zone angle of this play.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's just animal.
And you know the whole
just bounces off contact here.
I know
This is so dumb at the end, but it's just like it's
so
also fun for the players. Like they loved it when Jones did it. They're gonna love it when Dart does it. Hopefully, he doesn't get hurt doing it. He's obviously increasing his likelihood of getting hurt a lot by doing this type of stuff, but it's very fun to watch.
It is nice to have like a quarterback that has that similar trait that Daniel Jones had, where it's like I'm going to galvanize my team through my toughness and try to set an example, because there's not every quarterback is like that, dude. Like look around the league, there's quarterbacks, I'm not gonna name names, but there's quarterbacks that they're not doing stuff like this. Now I don't necessarily want this because it's unwise, but he has the stones to do it, and he's not scared. He's fearless when it comes to these types of situations, which I do appreciate, and I do think that kind of mentality is infectious.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You should probably have a conversation with Deontay Banks.
Let's run this final one. This is the one I think you actually might have ran this one already. Never mind.
It's okay. Let's watch.
No, this is the one that we didn't run. This is the Slayton one that I was talking about. Look at the ball placement there. I mean, it's hard to see actually from this angle, but I do love that he's confirming that safety is coming down. So he has this one-on-one. He makes the throw. The end zone angle, which I posted to Twitter, so if you want to see it, go find it, shows that the ball hit Slayton on his outside shoulder, on his right hand, outside toward the sideline. Pretty much perfect, in my opinion, what I would consider almost to be perfect ball placement, and no separation from the receiver, and also just not a good play away from his frame.
No, not at all. And this is good processing by Darks. You have the two rotates to the one, with the buzz defender taking the Y cross from the backside. So it's the weak side safety rotation, confirms one-on-one matchup, since the safety, who's the middle of the field close safety, is basically hugging the numbers near Malik Nabers, because attention to Malik Nabers, and all that's going through Jaxson Dart's mind at the snap. So he just confirms that it's a one-on-one. He's like, you can even, I wish we had the end zone. You could see, but you could see it from here. Watch how Dart, he's scanning, he sees one-on-one, and watch how he's looking right at the moment. He sees that the safety sunk down and his eyes are on the cross of Theo Johnson. And then he hits the back foot. He's like, oh, I got the one-on-one. Let me throw it. And I don't think Slayton does the best job creating separation. I think the cornerback rode him off the red line in a quality manner, and a quality effort from him. But still not a bad throw. It's a catchable pass that I think if Slayton had maybe a little bit more leverage, he would come down with. And if it was Malik Nabers, even though Malik Nabers isn't receiving that opportunity too much, he would have came down with the football.
Yeah, it hits him right in their outside hand. So definitely I thought a great throw. You can see it on my Twitter if you want to see where the ball placement actually was. Always harder to see from that sideline view angle. All right, let's get to some superlatives, Nick. That was a fun breakdown. I enjoyed it. I hope that you guys enjoyed it as well. If you do enjoy it and you're listening to the show now, please do us a favor and hit the like button, and please rate and subscribe. Also, people keep mentioning this to me, Nick. I'm going to get this going. I'm going to look into it probably tonight after the show. Something called Buy Me a Coffee, which essentially
we have one.
Okay. So now
we're going to
put that link in instead of the super chat. So to get questions in moving forward, we'll do the Buy Me a Coffee, and we'll get them through there live, and we'll put the link live in the chat. You could do it there.
We'll go through the logistics of that.
Yeah.
But still, when we do the live shows, people want to use YouTube, they can. But we'll go through the logistics of that.
Okay.
Not on pod.
Fair enough. I just saw it today. All right, let's get into some superlatives then. Unheralded Player of the Year. I mean, the game. Not of the year.
Yeah. So for me, it's John Runyon, man. I felt like he was the second best offensive lineman in this game. Jermaine Illuminor was okay, even though I think the stats on PFF says he wasn't because he had a few plays that were meh. But John Runyon Jr. had a good game, a lot of kick out blocks, got out of his stance well, and he finished his blocks with some authority. So I wanted to go with him.
I think that's a great call. I think that probably would have to be the right pick. I went with Daniel Bellinger just because of the catch he made and just watching him. And whenever he's on the field, I think he executes the assignment well, just in the definition of an unheralded player.
Manhurts too. It could be in the
Manhurts has to be considered for the blocks he made and those two special teams tackles. I also personally think, because he doesn't get a lot of credit from any Giants fans, it seems like Devin Singletary is somewhat of an unheralded player. He had some really good runs and really good processing behind the line of scrimmage to create on his own. I still think he's a quality player if they need to if and when they need to use him.
I couldn't agree more, man. I really couldn't, man. He was one of the leaders in the league in missed tackles forced until he got hurt last year. Like he's a good, like we're glad that he's on the team right now. Like people are like, oh, we want Dante Miller up. It's like I would like to see Dante Miller up, but I want Devin Singletary there because if something happens to Cam Skattebo, it can't just be on Dante freaking Miller and whoever else the Giants have. Right. And just because we're talking about my guy Chris Manhurst, look at this. That's a 300 and that's just Sean Hand. That's a 305 pounder right there, guys. And your tight end is handling him.
That is pretty sick.
Right? And dude, it's even more impressive because he has no stable base. There's no stable base there for him to put his feet down because Andrew Thomas's foot is right there and he's still able. Like that's just impressive work. Like it's become like a bit on the podcast that Nick loves Chris Manhurst, but like to me that's a serious, like important skill set that we have at the tight end position, especially on a team that loves to run duo. Yeah. So I'm very appreciative of his presence on this roster.
It's a good bit. And he's a great player on film for what you're looking for. And I totally understand it. His value in a game like this is super important. Like this type of game, these 21-18 type games in the 2020, this is why they signed this player, to win games like this. And he makes enough big plays to help you. And all those little plays matter so much in games like this. All right, best throw of Jaxson Dart's first career start with the Giants.
The Adarius Slayton 18-yard comeback.
I would say it's that one or the one we just went over, where if you can see it again on my Twitter, the ball was placed right outside his right shoulder, his upfield shoulder, and it hits him right in the right hand, and he just can't come down with it. So it's one of those two for me, or the final 4th and goal throw to Wan'Dale Robinson. I thought he just did a great job of moving upward, all his momentum going forward, but still getting the nice, like, over-the-top touch and trajectory to get that football out there. All right. Okay. Let's go to the next one. The next one is best player on tape. I think I have a definite one. I'm curious to hear yours.
Yeah, it's Andrew Thomas.
Yeah, and to me, Andrew Thomas was by far and away the best player in this game for the Giants. With Nabers out, I think that becomes clear. Skattebo, again, is the runner-up for me. I just love watching this kid play, and I think he creates so much on his own. But man, Andrew Thomas's tape is just such teach tape. We're so lucky to have this player. I don't care about his injury history. I don't care about the past injuries. I'll deal with that, to be honest, because what else am I going to get if I trade a player like this? A, nothing. B, a lot of grief, because we're going to have a lot of different guys trying to play the left tackle position poorly for the Giants. So I'll take these, and he's healthy. Like, injuries are no guarantee for any player. All right, player we expected to see more from.
Wan'Dale Robinson.
That's an interesting one. I can see that with the drop. I'm trying to think who I would put in this regard, who I expected to see more from. Wan'Dale's definitely one up there. Slayton would probably be one for me. I don't want to totally put him there, but I'm just kind of hoping he'll assume this wide receiver 1 role without Nabers in the lineup. So that's kind of something that maybe long-term we can put in there, but maybe that's not fair. Wan'Dale's fair. Either Wan'Dale or Slayton for me. Pass blocking grade 1 to 10.
We surrendered 6 sacks, the New York Giants, and they earned
maybe only one was their fault. Yeah.
8.9 grade from me, man. They were phenomenal in this game.
Yeah. I had a 9-1. I thought they were over 9, and I very rarely give those out. I think I'll look back after this pod just to confirm, but I think this is the highest grade we've ever given a pass blocking unit since we started covering this podcast. We had a couple 8s last year during that one stretch before Thomas got hurt, but nothing 8-9 and nothing 9-1. Run blocking 1 through 10.
7-4.
Okay, I had 7-0 on this. I think you probably liked it more than I did. I think some of it was scheme, which I'm fine with, and I guess it's hard to factor that in because there were just sometimes I felt like the Chargers played curious-looking defensive fronts, curious boxes, light boxes, a lot of light boxes I just didn't expect to see in this matchup. I worry and I wonder a little bit about how teams are going to play the Giants. There are going to be some imagine this if this was against Spags. Like
there's no denying that. But I feel like the Giants were getting push at the point.
They were.
I think the combo blocks were much more crisp and smooth from basically the entire line in the unit. So it's not just the Andrew Thomas effect. So like I try to evaluate that independent of how the defense is playing the New York Giants. And I still wanted to go with that grade, but you're right. I mean, it's so much more difficult and it's much more of a burden and pressure on the offensive line. If there's another player you need to worry about who is going right through your gap and you got to come off that block a little bit earlier and then somebody squeezes through because the transition's not smooth. So obviously it does have an effect.
And just the question moving forward just becomes like, if the Giants keep putting more games like this on tape where they're not really doing much vertically from a passing standpoint, will teams eventually adjust to just say, all right, enough of this. We're just throwing guys toward the line of scrimmage every snap because you're not going to beat us over the top. Hopefully that's not the case. But these guys have to win routes. Like Slayton has to win that route in my mind. When he confirms that post Bree, Slayton has to win that route. And I love Slayton. And I've always thought he's an underrated player, but he's never the greatest in contested catch situations. We don't really have that player on the roster right now. We'll see what ends up happening when it comes to receiver. I'm sure the Giants will sign somebody. Maybe they take Isaiah Hodgins off the Steelers practice squad. I don't even know what the rules are with that. Gabe Davis is also on a practice squad. I also don't know the rules with that. Like,
do the Steelers have another game out there?
Yeah,
I see that
game out there. They have two.
They do have another. So how does that work? Do they got to fly Isaiah Hodgins?
So yeah, I don't know. I don't even know.
Logistically, that's like again, that's
a nightmare for Hodgins. Probably. But it wouldn't be a nightmare if he actually got playing time in a roster spot for, I'm sure, his career. He would feel very worth flying from London or Ireland or wherever.
I got to imagine the Giants prefer Isaiah Hodgins to Jalen Hyatt, which is like what? Right?
Interesting. Yeah. I
shouldn't say that because they let him go. But again, it's a weird situation, and I do want to give Jalen Hyatt the a little bit of time just to see if he can do anything in this new role that he may inherit.
Right.
But like, I don't think the coaching staff looks at Jalen Hyatt and they're like, yes, man, this is the guy we want out there. They never like design anything for him. Whereas I think it's more of a Joe Schoen's like, yeah, no, we're not going to get
my third round pick. I traded up for.
Exactly. Yeah. Figure it out.
Always great when the coaching staff and the management are on different pages with the player. That's always what you want to see. Fun. Good stuff, Shane and Daboll. But it's not about that. It's about Jaxson Dart. It's about his first start, getting the win, making some really good reads, I thought, out there where he confirmed pre to post snap. And I'll stand by that last one, that Slayton one in the red zone. That would have been a touchdown if he wasn't held. I just love to see Jaxson Dart see those defenders creeping up, change it pre-snap, make the checks to the receivers, and then throw that. To me, that's an amazing moment for a rookie quarterback in his first start. So thank you so much for listening to the Big Blue Banter podcast. Please, again, hit the like button, rate, subscribe, get this show cooking in the algorithm on YouTube, and we'll come back at you with the defensive film podcast tomorrow.